Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to another episode of Awaken Your Authentic Self. Today, we are going to step into a conversation that I know will resonate deeply with every single one of us because it's something we all live with, often without even realizing it. We are talking about limiting beliefs. Now, I don't want you to hear that and think, oh, I already know what those are. No, I want you to lean in with curiosity as if you're hearing it for the first time. Because the way limiting beliefs shape our lives is so subtle, so sneaky, that they often feel like truth when they're really not. This episode is not going to be me lecturing you with definitions. It's going to be a journey, a story, an unfolding. My prayer is that by the end of this time together, you will not only understand what limiting beliefs are, but you will also feel more empowered to notice them in your own life, to loosen their grip, and to begin writing a new story for yourself. So take a deep breath with me. Maybe place a hand on your heart, and let's begin. When I was younger, I remember visiting a circus. There were elephants, huge, powerful creatures. We've all seen them, easily strong enough to lift cars. And yet they were tied to tiny wooden stakes in the ground with nothing more than a rope. I remember asking, why don't they just pull away? They're so strong. Well, I guess somebody else had the same question because I overheard as the trainer explain, when they're babies, we tie them to those stakes. At first they pull, they fight, and they struggle, but eventually they stop trying. They learn that they can't escape. And once they learn that, they never try again, even when they're grown and powerful enough to break free. I have never been to a circus since, but that moment has stayed with me because it is the perfect metaphor for limiting beliefs. Think about it. How many times have you stopped yourself from trying something new? Not because you truly couldn't, but because somewhere deep down, you already had decided that it was impossible for you to do this. Maybe you thought to yourself, I'm not the kind of person who can make money, or love never lasts for me, or even something so small as I'm terrible with technology. I mean, I'm guilty of that one. These should be meaningless phrases. They become the cages that we live inside, the cages that we create for ourselves. But unlike real cages, the bars aren't actually solid. They are made of thought, of perception, and of belief. And here's the most powerful thing for you to remember. Just because you've stopped tugging at the rope doesn't mean that you are not capable of breaking free. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, what's one stake I've stopped tugging against? What's one thing I told myself a long time ago that I can't do? And so I never even try anymore. Let's move deeper now. Because these beliefs, they don't just appear randomly. They have roots. Some roots definitely deeper than others. Think about a newborn baby. Babies don't look in the mirror and think, ugh, I don't like the way I look. They don't doubt their worthiness. They don't doubt if they are too much or not enough. They cry when they need something. They laugh when they're joyful, and they live in their full expression. So where do limiting beliefs come from? Maybe as a child, you drew a picture with pride and someone laughed at it and said, that doesn't look like a dog, it looks like a blob. And right there, a seed was planted, right? I'm not creative. Or maybe you wanted to sing, but a parent or a loved one told you to be quiet, that your voice was too loud, too annoying. A seed was planted. I should stay small. I shouldn't take up space. My first husband did this to me, and I didn't sing again for almost 20 years. Sometimes it's generational. If your parents or grandparents always said things like, money doesn't grow on trees, I grew up hearing that one and sadly probably repeated it to my own children. Or people like us, we don't get ahead. You may have inherited the belief that abundance is out of reach for you. And sometimes it's from pain. Maybe your first love broke your heart in a devastating way, and in the aftermath, you unconsciously formed the belief love always hurts and I'm not lovable. The important thing to understand is that limiting beliefs are learned, and what is learned can be unlearned. When you start tracing your beliefs back, you will realize something powerful. Most of them were never really yours. They were borrowed from parents, borrowed from teachers, from society, from painful experiences, and you don't have to keep carrying them. Here's the thing. Limiting beliefs don't stay in the past. They don't stay tucked away in childhood or in the memories of what someone once said. No, my loves, they grow with us. They follow us like little stalkers. They begin to show up in the way we live today, almost like ghosts whispering in the background. And the trickiest part, they don't come up to you, tap you on the shoulder, and announce themselves as, hey, I'm your limiting belief. Nope. Instead, they show up in disguise. They show up as hesitation, procrastination, self-sabotage, perfectionism, or even the kinds of relationships we keep finding ourselves in over and over and over again. So rude. It is almost like these beliefs have become the script writers of our lives. They hand us the lines, and without realizing it, we speak them. Others hand us stage directions, and we just follow them. So let's shine a flashlight into the shadows. Let's look at the ways these beliefs weave themselves into the everyday moments, the choices, the patterns, the habits that make up the texture of our lives. Because once you can start noticing the patterns, you will realize something extraordinary. You have been living inside a story you didn't even write. Maybe you had a dream, like starting a business or writing a book, but you keep putting it off. On the surface, it looks like procrastination, but underneath, the belief just might be, I'm not capable, or who would even listen to me? Maybe you find yourself in relationship after relationship where you're not respected or valued. On the surface, it looks like bad luck, but underneath, the belief might be, I don't deserve better, or love means sacrifice. Or maybe every time you start to succeed at something, you somehow just mess it up. You overspend, or you miss deadlines, or you ghost opportunities. That is not random. It is the shadow of a belief like I'm not meant to succeed, or if I shine too brightly, people will leave me. FYI, I had to deal with all of these, and I was able to transform them, transmute them all by choosing different language to use both consciously and consistently. Start listening to your language. Do you hear yourself saying things like, I always mess things up, or that's just the way I am? That one makes me laugh because I hear that all the time. Those are clues. Those are the fingerprints of limiting beliefs. A journaling prompt to help you with this could be, what patterns keep repeating in your life, and what belief might be sitting underneath them? Now, here's where the story begins to shift. Up until now, we've been exploring what limiting beliefs are, where they come from, and how they show up in our lives. And maybe you've been nodding along thinking, yeah, that's me. I can see myself in that. But there comes a moment, and if you've ever experienced it, you will know what I mean, when something just clicks. A moment with a voice inside of your head that says you're not enough or you can't do this suddenly just sounds different. That's when you realize it's not your voice. It's not your truth, and it never was. My click, my shift, was in the middle of that last argument with my last of 3 toxic relationships, where I went from 100 to 0, started laughing loudly, and said out loud for the very first time in 30 years, I deserve better. I am worthy of more than this. And then I walked away and never looked back. That is the awakening moment. It is like the elephant suddenly tugging on the rope again, and this time realizing, wait a second, this doesn't hold me anymore. It is a sacred, powerful moment of separation. When you realize I am not my belief, I am the awareness noticing it. And that awareness, that is the doorway to freedom. What it's like to suddenly see the rope for what it is, a truth and not, a thought and not a truth. And how this moment, as small as it may seem, is the spark that can ignite everything else around you. That realization is everything. Because when you can separate yourself from the belief, that you stop confusing it with your identity. I remember speaking with someone who always said, I'm not good at relationships. But as we dug a little bit deeper, it wasn't that she wasn't good at relationships. It was that she had grown up watching unhealthy relationships and she had absorbed the belief that love was supposed to be hard. The moment she saw, that's not who I am, that's just what I learned, she actually cried tears of relief. Awareness is liberation. You are not your limiting beliefs. You are the awareness that notices them. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, what belief have I been mistaking for just the way I am? Think about it. How many times have you used that phrase in your life, and maybe even just today? Now that you've had that awakening, the realization that your beliefs are not the same as your identity, the next question is, what do you do with that awareness? Because awareness is powerful. Yes, but awareness alone does not and will not set you free. Awareness is like finding the pen and realizing, oh my goodness, I've been handed a script my whole life. The real question is, are you ready to write something new? This is what it means to rewrite the script, your script. And it is one of the most empowering, creative, and liberating practices you can do for yourself. Think about it. If your old belief was, I'm not enough, then every decision you made was filtered through that lens. But if you started writing a new belief, I am inherently worthy, suddenly your choices shift, your energy shifts, the opportunities you're willing to say yes to will shift. This is the part where you reclaim the pen, where you stop letting the old voices dictate the story of your life and instead begin authoring a narrative that actually aligns with who you truly are. To help you work through this, you can write down the belief clearly. For example, I'm not enough. Then ask yourself, where did this belief come from? Was it from a parent? Was it from a teacher, an ex, a painful moment? Usually, it's not even yours. It never was. Next, challenge that belief. Is this absolutely true? Can I know without a doubt that I'm not enough? Usually the answer is no, because we're all enough. Now you get to rewrite your script. Craft a new belief. For example, I am inherently worthy. My value is not dependent on what I do or achieve. It simply is. Lastly, and most important, you have to practice your new belief consciously and consistently. This is where many people stop. But remember, a belief is like a path in the forest. The more you walk it, the clearer it gets. The more familiar it feels. To shift beliefs, you must practice the new one consistently until it becomes your new default, your new reality. One friend always used to say, I'm terrible with money. Together, we just decided to change her language and we shifted it to I am learning how to have a healthy relationship with money. That small shift, because she just kept saying it over and over and over again, opened the door for her to take small steps, reading books, setting up a budget, celebrating small wins, and over time, her belief genuinely transformed. Let's pause together. If you are in a safe space, I invite you to close your eyes. Take a deep breath in through your nose and release it slowly. Place a hand on your heart and ask yourself gently, what is one belief I've been carrying that no longer serves me? Notice what arrives. Don't judge it, just witness it. Now imagine holding that belief as a small stone in your hand. Feel its weight. Notice how long you've carried it. And now imagine placing it down on the earth, gently and lovingly. As you release it, ask yourself, what would I like to believe instead? See that new belief as a light. Let it pour into your body. Let it fill your cells. Breathe it in. Anchor it into your heart. Okay, so you've identified your limiting beliefs. You've traced their roots. You've had your awakening moment. You've even begun to rewrite your script, right? That's awesome. That's so powerful. But here's the question. How do you live it? Because beliefs don't just shift because we think new thoughts once or write new affirmations in our journals. They shift when we live into them, not lean into them. We live into them. When we embody them, when we practice them daily in small, tangible, sometimes even messy ways, because remember, healing is sometimes messy. This is the part where transformation becomes real. This is where it gets hard and the internal tug of war starts. Because it's one thing to say I am worthy, but it's another thing to choose the job that actually honors your value. It's one thing to say I am lovable, but it's another thing to let yourself receive love without pushing it away. Living beyond the belief is where spirituality meets practice. It is where new neural pathways get carved. It is where your inner reality begins to shape your outer reality. So let's talk about what it looks like to live into your new beliefs, not just in theory, but in action. Let's talk about the small, practical, everyday ways that you can embody the freedom that you've claimed so your life becomes a reflection of the truth you now know. If your old belief was, I'm not creative, then give yourself permission to create something, anything today. Doodle, write, sing, dance. It does not have to be perfect. The act of creating rewires the belief. If your old belief was, I don't deserve love, then start practicing receiving love in tiny ways. This one was hard for me, but when someone compliments you, instead of deflecting the compliment, just say thank you and let it land. If your old belief was, I will never succeed, then celebrate each small step you take towards your dreams. Success isn't one big leap. It is the accumulation of many small aligned choices. Living beyond your limiting beliefs isn't about suddenly becoming a whole new person overnight. No. It is about making different choices again and again until the new story becomes your lived reality. Beloved, as we come to the close of this journey together, I want to remind you of something so important. Limiting beliefs may have shaped the chapters of your past, but they do not have the power to dictate your future. The cage was never locked. The rope was never unbreakable. You have always been free. You've just been waiting to remember it. So as you step into the week ahead, notice the whispers of those old beliefs, and instead of fighting them or trying to silence them, smile at them. Thank them for the ways that once tried to protect you, and then gently, lovingly choose a new story. Because the truth is, you were never broken. You were never lacking. Never were you unworthy. Your authentic self has always been whole. And speaking of truth and deeper remembrance, I want to give you a little glimpse into what's coming this week. We will be entering the High Priestess energy portal for the week of the 28th. And if you've been feeling the call to go deeper into your intuition, to lean into that inner knowing that sometimes whispers louder than logic, this will be a powerful moment for you. The High Priestess invites us to move beyond the surface, beyond what the eyes can see, or the mind can analyze, and into the quiet depths of our own wisdom. And when we weave this energy into the work we've done today, untying ourselves from limiting beliefs, it becomes a bridge, guiding us not just into freedom, but into alignment with our highest self. pure transformation. So make sure you join me for the sacred journey on Supercast. It's going to be a beautiful continuation of everything we've opened together today. The link is in the show description. Until then, thank you for sharing this time with me. Thank you for daring to look at your own beliefs. And thank you for choosing to awaken more fully to the truth of who you are. Keep expanding, keep remembering, and keep stepping into that most radiant freedom of your authentic self.